Okay. So I'm going to do this hoping for conversation from anybody who's unmuted. And if you need to be muted for any reason, just unmute and ask questions. But I'm going to go ahead and get rolling. We launched a nonprofit after 40 years of helping realtors serve essential employees. So when you define an essential employee, relative to COVID or relative to wartime or relative to pandemic, you start to realize that these are the people that have to go to work whether or not there's risk. And as nurses and firefighters and teachers and law enforcement officers and military people, and most recently with the hurricane issues that we've faced just this last season, you're seeing the linemen out there, for 30 hours after a hurricane, or you're seeing an air traffic controlman, in the union of air traffic controllers, and they have to go to work no matter what. They're not allowed to stay home. So when we see essential employees, we think of the word hero. Now, the reason I use the term essential employees, because I've been doing this for 40 years, and they don't like to be called heroes. The cops hate that word. They think it's indignant that they're called heroes. But on the other hand, they also hate the fact that they're disrespected as law enforcement officers. So we got to find this middle ground. And I leaned on Hero Benefits Network for the benefits of these heroes. But also, I run a real estate brokerage that's called the Essential Employee Relocation Company. And that allows us to construct relocation and referral for the Hero Benefits Network. So I couldn't do this if I wasn't also a licensed real estate broker. Essentially, what we're doing is giving $10 million away during 2025. That's our goal. We think 2025 is going to be the best real estate selling year in a few, maybe a 2 or 3 year slump, depending on who you ask, and then banging it out again in 2025, probably looking at a 6% or a 5 7/8 interest rate by then. And we're certainly hoping that families are going to get off the fence and get them damn houses listed for sale. And I want you guys to know who I am. I'm 75% listing side real estate agent for 40 years. I mean, I don't like buyers. I don't like taking them out. I don't like driving them around. So what I focus on is listings. And when you focus on listings, you think about relocation grants. How can I get a guy who's retiring from the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, who owns a $600,000 house, to sell that damn $600,000 house with me and move up to Blairsville, Georgia? When you do that, you make a lot of money. And I've done that 1,600 times in my life. I did relocation for cops, firefighters, teachers, all essential employees. So now what we're doing as a nonprofit in my retirement years is we're teaching, training, coaching realtors how to honor these essential employees with our relocation grants and down payment assistance. But we're teaching them in a way where we're not having them pay $3,000 a year to belong. That's what Homes for Heroes does, right? Homes for Heroes charges a few $1,000s a year to just do transactions. Well, we don't charge any money to do transactions. We're a 501c3 charitable organization. We have an up to $5,000 down payment assistance and up to $10,000 relocation grant. So our slogan is kind of morphed over this past year. The easiest job in real estate. I mean, for goodness sakes, all we do is give away money. How hard can that be? So today we're going to spend a few minutes on the Realtor certification, what we do and why we do it. You'll be up to speed with all of that by 12:20. At 12:20, we're going to give you the Q&A for the certification questions, which are covered in a quiz. You can elect right then if you believe in us enough to get certified. It's free. There's no cost. Then at 12:30, I'm going to punch a few people in the head with some best practices and call to action. And we're going to do those best practices so that people who are not productive can learn from the people who are productive, right? And then last but not a couple last things we're going to do at 12:45. We're going to introduce a new program that we call Key to Coaching. and it's an invitation and an orientation to Kita Coaching for free. Because we're a nonprofit and because I'm retired, we don't charge for our coaching. I charge $3,000 a month for broker level coaching and $1,000 a month for realtor coaching for my whole life. And I was very successful doing it. I collected $6.5 million in coaching fees so over the last 15 years. And so we're going to show you why we're not charging money for our coaching anymore. And then at 12:55, just as we wrap up at 1, and you don't have to stay for all this, but if you want to, we're going to give everybody a weekly assignment because we've got a bunch of our members coming on at 12:30 to do the mastermind and all that. So let's go ahead and wrap up with the certification part of this. We want our realtors to know how to calculate our down payment assistance. It never runs out. It never has to be repaid. It does not affect their credit. It does not affect their mortgage. It's just free money. They get $3,450 free if they're buying a $300,000 house in network. They get $400,000 house, they're getting about $4,600. And if a cop and a firefighter or a teacher were married and dual income and they wanted to buy a $500,000 house, or if they had been in the law enforcement or fire rescue for long enough and they're making enough money to afford a $500,000 house, they would get almost $6,000 just for the down payment assistance part of it. Now you look at the exact same numbers on the bottom, you're talking about, $5, 6, 7, 8, 9, $10,000 to the hero just for doing a normal transaction that they were going to do anyway. And that's where the secret sauce starts to build. So the two numbers that I want to point out on your screen, 0.0075 is relocation. 0.0115 is purchase. So you combine the one they're selling, the 0.0075 relocation grant, with the one they're buying, and that's 0.0115, and that's how you calculate a relo grant, and 0115 is how you create a down payment. So I'm going to introduce a few people to you for the first time. These are going to be your partners in essential employee relocation. Randy Nemiroff is the Chief Connection Officer. I've coined that phrase. I don't think he approves it, but I think he's the ultimate connector because he brings the Police Benevolent Association and the Fraternal Order of Police and the AFL-CIO and the teachers union all together with Hero Benefits Network. And we've already received hundreds and hundreds of leads from these networks and associations that Randy Nemiroff matches us up with. Carrie Fitzpatrick is my beautiful wife in the center of the sales directors there, and she runs all the ops and technology for Hero Benefits Network. I just run my mouth. I just do all the teaching, training, coaching, and promotional videos that you guys use in your local market. And I want to invite you to recast those videos in your voice. When you see a video of ours addressing essential employee relocation, we want you to re-record it. We want you to make it better. We want you to, get it cranking in your local market. And only because Devin is on, I want to introduce Devin Pinches, the membership director, Hero Benefits Network. I mean, only because you're on, I'll have you say hi. Is what I'm saying.
Hi, everybody. As Russ said, my name is Devin Pinches, the membership director of Hero Benefits Network. Looking forward to meeting you all and getting you on board with this wonderful program. Thank you, Russ.
Thank you, Deb. So, when you think about grants and down payment assistance programs, you think about most recently Kamala Harris's $25,000 down payment assistance proposal. And I'm not talking politics today. I'm just talking economy. If the equation of supply and demand is out of whack, as it is in the United States right now, there are millions and millions and millions of buyers who want to buy houses, and there's only hundreds of thousands of people who want to sell houses. So you have this ferocious, out of whack, seller-friendly market that's been with us for about 5 years. And of course, the higher interest rates is softening that. But now we go ahead and we throw nitrous oxide under the fire with $25,000 buyer side assistance. That's insane. That's the opposite of what we should be doing. We should be incentivizing landlords and, Blackstone hedge funds to sell their houses. by giving, my sister-in-law owns 7 investment houses. If she would sell 3 of them, I would give her, $25,000 to sell each one, because that's what's going to help our economy, not helping the buyers. And I want you to understand that too, from a realtor's perspective, even if you disagree with me. Sellers are where all the money is. Okay. Realtors who do buyers as a living don't make nearly as much as realtors who do sellers as a primary focus. And Mike Ferry, Floyd Wickman, Tom Hopkins, Walter Sanford, Craig Proctor, Brian Buffini, you name it. They've been focusing on list to last since the day I entered the real estate business in 1986. But in 2023, 24, and 25, it become list or die. List or die is different than list to last. It's a little bit more severe of a penalty, I think, that they're inferring. And what they're saying basically is the guy with the gold makes the rule. The NAR settlement gives all the power to the listing agent. The buyer's agents can be zeroed out completely if the listing agent wants to. If the seller decides he doesn't want to offer any commissions to the buyer's agent, that's how it's going to go from now on. And whether you disagree with them or not, the listing agent has all the power. So we want to empower your grants towards listings. And the listings are achieved by working with police officers who are either retiring or transferring stations at the 20-year mark. So there's a retirement window, 20, 25, and 30 years. And some of them enter a drop program as early as their 20th year. And when you enter a drop program as a firefighter or a cop, most counties allow you to choose your retirement date. You go ahead and matriculate your retirement at 20 years, but then you get to receive even more retirement when you go to another station. So we handle the transfer from your first station to your second station at your drop. We do that for cops, teachers, firefighters. But we also work with military and, the American Legion or the Veterans of Foreign War or the Veterans Administration to find out which veterans are facing hardship, financial hardship, or housing affordability hardship. My uncle has a cash property, but his property taxes have gone, I think, to $13,000 a year. So even though he could afford to maintain the house and stay in the house, it's just become it's a $3,000 a month house for him, even to not have a mortgage. So he's definitely looking to downsize and relocate. Well, that's what we do. We help them escape the affordability concerns that they have. And if you're a firefighter making 50, 60, 70 grand a year, 80 grand a year, you're having a hard time buying a house in South Beach. You're probably not going to be able to swing that house in Lake Mary just because you're a firefighter in Lake Mary. You probably have to go live in Sanford and pay a little less for your house. And I'm only using geography relative to Orlando because my buddy Steve, who's in Orlando. But essentially what we're saying is there's firefighters who are dire need, want to own a home, but they have to drive 45 minutes to an hour to get to work in order to own a home. So what we're doing is we're offering $5,000 and $10,000 grants for either down payment assistance or relocation. And the way I like to ask a cop, have you ever really looked at a relo analysis? That's the language I use. Have you ever looked at a relo analysis? And I want to tell you why I use that. The teacher from Deerfield Beach was going to rent for $3,200 a month. She had a 770 credit score. She had 15 years on the job. She was making 80. No, she was making about 66, I think, if I remember correctly. But guess what we did? We did a relo analysis. And during the relo analysis, it was discovered that not only could she move to another school board and get a raise of $18,000, that's what got her to $80,000, but she could afford to buy a $430,000 home with a 3-car garage on a half an acre in Kennesaw, Georgia. She couldn't even afford to rent in Deerfield Beach. So relocation analysis becomes a serious conversation when you can get people who are thinking about moving from Pompano Beach, Florida to Palatka. And believe you me, it's happening. I'm going to show you a map here in just a minute that demonstrates the severity of the affordability crisis and how it's hurting our essential employees. So I've got relationships with teacher unions, American Legion, Police Benevolent Association, the Firefighters Union, and the Veterans of Foreign War. And real quick, before we move off of this slide, I just want to explain to you what free farming looks like. Farming, geographic farming, has always been a terminology in residential real estate. It meant that you're gonna plant seeds over and over and over in that farm area so that you can capture 15, 18, 20, 25, 30% market share. And after 3 to 5 years of farming religiously, you might see a 30, 40, 50% market share in a subdivision. And I know, some sick farming realtors in Broward County and Palm Beach County, Florida, that I've worked with for years. They're getting 50, 60% of the market share of their farm now after 15, 20 years. And if you don't list with Bobby Meckler in Hilton Head, if you don't list with Marta Dupree in Parkland, if you don't list with Alex Curcio in certain section of Boca Raton, he won't show your house and he'll blow you away because he owns that market. So I want to talk about Keller Williams Realty, Larry Steinberg. He has become the ambassador, the brand ambassador for Hero Benefits Network. He's up in New Jersey. He is a gregarious, outgoing human being, which really, really helps in networking. Shy people don't network as well. But Larry is a fantastic networking real estate agent. And I don't have it in front of me, but I thought it was like 4 closings in his first month or 2 with us. And I want you to know that Hero Direct Marketing is the most rewarding part of my real estate career. And I'm going to use this slide to illustrate why it makes my real estate career better. Remember, I've been doing this for 37 years. I started with a keg of beer at the Police Benevolent Association at 18 years old. I was a zit-faced 18-year-old kid. My dad had to buy the keg because I wasn't even old enough to buy it. We rolled the keg into the PBA luncheon, and I think I sold 3 houses that year to cops. So it does work. But imagine I was at the same PBA luncheon, and I shook their hand, and I said, "Hi, my name's Russ from RE/MAX." That would be an introduction. Hey, I get it. You're a realtor, right? But when we introduce you to our partners at the PBA, from now on, we're going to be introducing you, Steve, as the benefits director for Orlando. We're not going to introduce you as a realtor. We're going to introduce you as the Hero Benefits Director. And you're going to introduce yourself as the Hero Benefits Director for that community. I could show you reams and reams of responses from teachers, firefighters, cops, military personnel, veterans that answer the call to a benefits director, but do not answer the call from a realtor. So why we believe that this is such a fantastic opportunity for you personally to change the trajectory of your income is because you've got a purpose-driven passion here driving you. When you wake up at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday, you're not kicking yourself can down the road saying, "Oh man, I got to talk to another buy owner today, or I got to talk to another expired, or I got to go spend money on pay-per-click, or I got to do some of this other nonsense." No, what you're going to do is you're going to walk into the American Legion with a few of our vouchers, and you're going to say, "Spread the word about this." And then also there'll be a poster up in the American Legion that says, "Heroes, essential employees, veterans, honorably discharged veterans, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, please call this guy. He is the benefits director if you want to buy or sell a house." And it will get results. And before I move on, I got 1 minute left before I switch to quiz. I'm meticulously watching my time today. The best feeling I ever had was when I got a call from a kid named Ben, little squirrely rookie cop at City of Sunrise. And he says to me, God, I wish I could remember, Hodges, Ben Hodges. He knows who I'm talking about. He was so skinny. He was like 20. He was a cop. I wouldn't have been intimidated if he pulled me over. I'd be like, what are you going to do? Well, I guess that big gun on the side of the radio probably helped. But hey, he just said, "I want to buy a house." And I said, "How can I help you?" He said, "I want to buy a house." I said, "Okay." I went over his house. We did our Hero Benefits Network overview. We showed him how long I've been with RE/MAX. And I said, if I sell you, back then, I think it was probably like a 165, you're going to get an extra $2,500 or something. And he was like, "Wow, that's nice." So we went out, bought houses. And on that particular transaction, I remember it so well, he needed that 2,500. Like maybe you or I, or maybe you might not personally have that desperation that it feels when you're pinching your pennies prior to closing. Like when you know you need 13.3 and you only have 85 and you're calling mom. You know, that's like literally how it happened with Ben, and we were able to give him close to $2,500 to wrap that transaction up. So at this point, I'm going to point you to the certification questions and answers. Remember, the certification's free. All we want to do is establish that you understand the mathematics of it. So if you know the questions and answers on the left side of your screen, you'll be able to breeze through the CERT quiz. But the CERT quiz is kind of like our capture data mechanism for our members that are certified. So then we can communicate to you about the changes in the plan. We can communicate to you about the future of the program, introducing new coaching opportunities for you to participate in, or maybe we're bringing in a guest speaker like the superintendent from schools who's considering coming in. By the way, Steve, Osceola County Superintendent of Schools, a guy named Randy, retired. He is up in Franklin, North Carolina now because he retired, but he's still pushing Hero Benefits Network to Osceola County, and he's going to come on as a guest speaker. We got the principal of a school coming on as one of Carrie's guests, showing her what she's doing inside of her school for Heroes. So when I use the term free farming, what I'm saying is someone else is planting the seeds, you're just reaping the harvest. The principal is planting all your seeds for you free. Geographic farming, or what we call socioeconomic farming here. We're farming a socioeconomic group, a social group of people like teachers. And that farm area is farmed for free. Someone else is tilling the land. Someone else is planting the seeds. All you got to do is come and harvest the transactions when they inquire, like Ben Hodges inquired to me from Sunrise PD. By the way, before I wrap on these questions, and you can see the numbers right there on your screen, so if you jot them down, you're going to breeze through the quiz. But I want to say this about Ben. Mark Krumanacker, a lieutenant at the Sunrise PD, had bought a home from me in Sunrise, and he put my flyer above the coffee maker in the break room of the Sunrise Police Department. Now, I don't know about your farm area, your geographic farm area putting up flyers in the clubhouse for you. I don't think so. What we're able to do with essential employees is get the essential employees to collaborate on promoting you. That's why we went nonprofit. So the Heroes Benefits Network certification quiz, the first 5 answers are on your board there on the left-hand side of your screen. Number 5, C. You do receive leads when we get them if you bought an exclusive zip code. If you never buy an exclusive zip code, you could still get leads, but it would be second to the people who own the exclusive zip codes, obviously. So we just did a deal with EXP nationally where we're going to be dispersing. We don't have any coverage west of the Mississippi yet. So we only really work the Eastern Seaboard. So we're going to be sending our west of the Mississippi leads through EXP, and they're going to be paying us a 30% referral fee. The members only pay a 25% referral fee, but EXP has tentatively agreed to a 30% referral fee because those people are outside of our coverage areas right now. But for you, 0115 is the DPA. 0115 times the purchase price calculates the DPA. It's very simple. Number 3 is all the above. Number 4 is who qualifies. You could find out who qualifies at hbn.com or .org. We own both hbn.com and .org. And then C, like I said, yes, the leads will come in when you own a zip code. And if you choose not to own a zip code, that's absolutely fine. We don't have a preference, but our leads will always go to zip code owners first and then dispersed to the rest of our certified realtors second. It's $100 to own a zip code. So it's not like we're squeezing you too hard. Remember, it's almost $3,000 to own a Homes for Heroes opportunity, but you don't even own any space. You don't own any geography with them. So we're charging $100, but you own the geographic territory like a franchise. So I'm thrilled with that shift. The last question on the bottom of your screen before we switch over is 0115 plus 075. So you do the 0.075 on the listing and you do the 0.0115 on the buy side, and that's how you total up a relocation grant close to 10 grand. So having said all that, I'm going to switch gears to a little bit of best practices. And I'm going to be talking to my realtors today about best practices. Hey, Devin, are you still on?
I am indeed.
You're just monitoring for me for any foul language or anything other that I might
Never,
say?
never.
Hey, do you know if Terry Keeler and her husband Tim are on yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, so I have a 12:30 mastermind window. I want to just go back to my schedule because I might have to kill a couple minutes till they get on. They, at 12:30 is I was going to start the mastermind. 4 minutes early. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go back for anyone who's on and talk a little bit about this slide for just
Okay.
another moment, and then at 12:30 we'll switch into mastermind.
Perfect.
You know, I'm teasing Steve because I know where he's at now. But if I was in Osceola County, if I was in Kissimmee, if I was in, Lake Mary, I wouldn't buy a zip code. I wouldn't. I would literally go out first and find out where the PBA is. And wherever the Police Benevolent Association headquarters is, that's the zip code I'd buy. Because what you're essentially doing by buying the PBA zip code is you're prohibiting other realtors who are part of Hero Benefits Network or certified as Hero Benefits Network from visiting that PBA. You're prohibiting anyone who's Hero Benefits Network from emailing that PBA. You're not allowed to send text to that PBA. You're not allowed to go networking at that PBA. You're not allowed to buy a keg of beer for that PBA. Only Steve is allowed to work that PBA. Now that one example might not really hit home for you, so I'm going to expand it. Okay, I have a hospital district in Fort Myers, Florida, that employs about 20,000 people. They're EMT, EMS, nurses assistants, janitorial staff, surgeons, just amazing, huge hospital district. So I'm a realtor. First thing I'm going to do is pull up that hospital district. Where is the HQ? Where's the headquarters? Then I'm going to walk into that headquarters with a voucher, and I'm going to meet the senior human resources director. I'm going to say, hey, we handle relocation for essential employees all across the country, and we're a nonprofit. And we give $5,000 to $10,000 to every employee who moves to your hospital district or moves out of your hospital district. Would you be interested in partnering with a nonprofit to add a $10,000 sign-on bonus for any hospital employees that travel in? Because we can ticket a voucher, add on $10,000 to their sign-on bonus if they'll transfer into your hospital district. Only if he says yes. Now let's play this one out. Like Sammy Smith sitting there as the HR director of that hospital says, no, I think it's stupid. I don't want to give 10 grand relocation grants to my hospital employees. Then don't buy the zip code. There's no value. But what if he says yes? What if Sammy Smith says, dude, this is the greatest thing I've ever seen. We do career fests all over the country. We do, recruiting campaigns for nurses. We bring nurses in from Vegas. We bring nurses in from New York. We bring nurses in from anywhere, and they come to Osceola County or Fort Myers, let's say, and we're much more affordable. And adding this $10,000 sign-on bonus is just a fantastic resource for me as a human resources director. Well, Sammy Smith, I'm shaking your hand. You're going to give me your database of all your employees. I'm going to load them into the Hero Benefits Network. And guess what? I'm buying that damn zip code for $100 because now I got Sammy Smith farming for me. So I hope that example hits home with why I'm so passionate. Because Mark Krumanacker got me the deal with Ben Hodges. I didn't have Ben Hodges before Mark. Mark planted those seeds for me, and that's what Hero Benefits Network marketing does. So here we go into sort of masterminding a little bit and helping our realtor partners understand the opportunity that exists in front of them. So we never, ever put two realtors on top of each other. So even in a small county like Macon, North Carolina, Macon County, North Carolina, I mentioned Franklin earlier, where the superintendent of schools retired from Osceola County. And we see Union Home Mortgage is a member in this is a hypothetical. I'm just laying this out to teach you something. Okay. Let's say that mortgage banker owns the county. So no other mortgage banker can say that they're a Hero Benefits Network mortgage company in that county. That's just like a franchise. Sotheby's owns Highlands and Cashiers, hypothetically speaking, because Sotheby's wants to work with the affluent $1 million plus, and that's all over in Cashiers and Highlands. Then you go over here into Smithridge and Cartagucci. I don't know what that is, but KW owns that one. Remax owns the one up above Burningtown and Mill Shoal, and then Century 21 owns the entire Nantahala area. So we're not seeing KW going over into Highlands and fighting with Sotheby's, and we're not seeing Nantahala fighting with, KW. What we're seeing is these niches, these riches are in the niches. You're with the police officers that work in Nantahala. You're with the cops. You're with the firefighters that work in Highlands. So there's a lot of separation when you look at a geographic protected territory that we want to talk about in the mastermind part of our conversation. I'm not even going to concern myself with who's on or who's not because it's 12:32. If you're on and you want to say hi, you can unmute yourself. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, if you're a realtor, don't buy a zip code until you have spoken to at least a Hero human resources director in that zip code. Like, I have realtors. First of all, I'm going to say this out loud, probably get booed off stage. Realtors are notoriously daft when it comes to marketing and business. Like, they just kind of like knee jerk everything and chase shiny objects. They're ADD people mostly. And what you have when you put 2,000 ADD people into an industry, you get about 5% of them that know what they're doing. 95% don't. And I'm sorry if you're in the 95th percent making less than 400 grand a year, but those people don't know how to sell real estate yet. And they're going up against people that are in the top 5%, like Mark Spain and Lori Finkelstein-Reeder, and psychos that are popping 3, 4, 5, 600 transactions a year, and they can't pop 3, 4, 5, 6 transactions a year. So the disparity between the haves and the have-nots in residential real estate is more than a lack of a middle class. There is no middle class. There is a bunch of people who can't make a living, and there's a bunch of people that make a living in their sleep. And what we're doing is we're teaching average and emerging realtors how to harness the power of relocation grants and down payment assistance to get the initial inquiries. The initial inquiries are what you pay Zillow to do, what you pay Realtor.com for, what you pay direct mail for, what you pay for in bus bench advertising or some billboards. What we want to do is we want to show you an organic, natural, sort of empathetic way that you can network, nurture, and serve without selling. And you're going to hear this over and over from me. TNT is dynamite. TNT, Well, one of my favorite college football coaches says TNT. It takes no talent to be on time. It takes no talent to run. It takes no talent to lift weights. All you have to do is show up and do that, and you're going to be a better football player. So you can't blame talent or the gift of gab or some fantastic charisma on not being effective in Hero Benefits Network. Okay. Takes no talent means package up 4 FedExes and send them. Doesn't take any talent to do that. Walk into the American Legion and hand them some vouchers. Doesn't take any talent. These are things that are just so matter of fact, so easy, so sort of, I'm going to say push up or sit up oriented. And I'll clarify that for our mastermind conversation. You've got the exclusive real estate brokerage in a county and you're not telling anybody about it. Ooh. And I've got 65 broker partners nationally already that are out there owning and operating zip codes, but they're keeping it a secret. It takes no talent to tell a few people that you're the Hero Benefits Director, but they're cloaked with fear. So what I did today on my own is I recorded voicemails that were left for heroes that got responses so you could hear the responses. I sent letters to Heroes to see the responses. I sent voicemails to Heroes so you could see the responses. And essentially what we're going to be doing together as a team, because I can see this being a team, it's a team of one guy in Orlando, one guy in Miami, one guy in Fort Lauderdale, one guy in Fort Myers, one guy in Tennessee, but it is still a team. And each of those realtors own a geographically protected territory. So that serves as my incentive to coach them up towards transaction volume. And if we're going to be successful in that, it's going to be because of you partnering with a title company. And I'm being serious here. You may have used title companies in the past, but have you ever partnered with a title company? So instead of you going out and doing all the promotion, you and your title partner do the promotion. Instead of you hosting a lunch and learn for realtors to bring, a lunch and learn for heroes to bring, the heroes together for a pizza party or for a PBA luncheon or something like that, the title company is partnered with you on it as well. So we're teaching title partners how to run their hero benefits division around you. We give the title partners policies and procedures, marketing and social media to partner with you to help drive heroes to you. We teach the title companies to bring in mortgage and realtors. We teach the realtors to bring in mortgage and title. Using the title company's hero division instead of your own, you as the realtor can have your life transformed, man. The title company can invest money, can invest lunches, can have educational events, and you're the only realtor that's there to catch those leads. So imagine that you had a three-legged stool. We're the fourth leg, right? The proverbial four-legged stool is much more stable than a two-legged stool, right? So by adding Hero Benefits Network, by adding a mortgage partner, by adding a title partner, and by adding you, we've got a four-legged stool. We're able to really touch the lives of the essential employees in that marketplace. So as a mastermind meeting for our realtor community, the first thing I wanted to say is if you don't have a title partner in your community that is certified, they don't have to buy anything, but they have to at least get certified as a Hero Benefits Division title company. You've got now a turbocharge. You've got a sense of competition with other realtors, a sense of belonging, a sense of interaction in your community. Maybe you've got a central purpose that's now brewing because now you got this title partner that's helping you. You got this mortgage guy that's helping you. And the three of you are partnered together with Hero Benefits Network. And that's when culture starts to happen. That's when you feel different when you wake up in the morning. A good culture makes you feel different when you wake up in the morning than a bad culture, right? I'm a realtor makes me feel one way. I'm a Hero Benefits Director makes me feel another way. I work alone as a lone wolf in the real estate business, or I work together with mortgage bankers and title companies to serve heroes. Which more fun? I happen to believe that economies of scale can be reached when we can work together for these title companies and mortgage companies helping us promote our services to those essential employees that are considering relocation. So I want to tell you my number one close that I've used with Heroes now for 37 years. And I just simply say, do you have 5 minutes to find out how much grant you qualify for? Do you have 5 minutes to find out how much grant you qualify for? Can we take a few minutes to find out how much grant you qualify for? It's not asking them to buy a house from you. It's not asking them to get pre-qualified for a mortgage. But let's find out how much of a grant you qualify for. And that's enticing enough, usually, to get them to jump through that first hoop of an inquiry, to jump through that first step of trust. Let's find out how much of a grant you qualify for. If you can get used to saying that, when your inquiry comes in, you immediately go to why did you call? What are you looking to do? That's called a wants and needs analysis. Okay, there is a formal wants and needs analysis that we will provide to you for free. In fact, I have it right here in my notes section. of my phone. It's the entirety of the script, including objection handling technique and closing techniques for heroes. And I will text it to anybody. As a matter of fact, Devin, would you mind putting my cell phone number on the text chat?
Of
So
course.
that anybody who would like to can text me, and I'll text them back right away from my note section in my Apple phone
Okay.
what the scripts are, what the dialogue is, what the objection handling techniques, all that stuff, because that's right in my phone, and they can just spend a day perusing it.
Perfect.
But if you use my script for wants and needs analysis, we have a 34% conversion rate to credit pull. That's about 60% to pre-qual. So 60% of the people I talk to go to pre-qual, 34% go to credit pull. So when we say, let's find out how much of a grant you qualify for, the next call is to my mortgage banker. Because I can't make a grant decision for that consumer without a mortgage pre-qual. So that just happens to be innuendo, nuance, right? Oh, you want to qualify for your grant? Yes. Well, you can't qualify for a grant without qualifying for a mortgage, because we need to know how much of a mortgage qualify for before we know how much grant qualify for. Does that make sense to you? It might be cart before the horse, or it might be out of turn for some of your selling styles, but I can tell you I've done it for 37 years and I ain't never had no Ben Hodges bitching about getting extra money. So they always go ahead with it. I have a 100% capture rate on mortgage and title. I've never lost a mortgage or title deal from a hero. I have in the public sector, but I've never lost a mortgage or title deal in the hero sector because it's a fair shake. And if my mortgage banker's a half a point out of whack with rates, I'm not working with them anyway. So I already know that my mortgage banker is right in line with pricing, right in line with service, right in line with capabilities. I know that he works with my heroes, and they always give me great feedback. So it's 100% conversion rate because he's not a dipshit. He doesn't screw it up, right? So as long as your mortgage banker doesn't screw it up by charging too much, you're going to capture about 100% of your mortgages. So the grant decision is then issuing a voucher, and the voucher gets the consumer out shopping or bing, bing, listing their home for sale. 80% of your thoughts should be on the listing side of the transaction. 20% of your thoughts should be on the buy side of the transaction. If Steve, my new buddy in Osceola County, or my new friend in Orlando, he might not call me a friend, but I'm going to tell Steve, if he quits thinking about buyers and he starts thinking about listings, he's going to make a hell of a lot more money. And every single listing buys a house. That's what I learned after 40 years in real estate. It's a rare occasion that someone sells one and doesn't buy another one. So we're talking about a 1003 mortgage application after they list their home for sale, and then on to my title partner who takes the transaction on to closing. So I'm thrilled to mastermind with anybody that wants to ask any questions. I'm going to put my little layer cake up there real quick. Title companies are going to run states, mortgage companies are going to run counties, and realtors are going to run zip codes. Get that? You can buy a zip code for $100, 3 zip codes for $250. 5 zip codes for $400. Okay, so there is a cost to own a zip code. You're talking about $4,800 a year to own 5 zip codes. So what I would do is I'd go out and I'd buy a hospital district. I'd buy a PBA zip code. I'd buy I would go ahead and buy, only zip codes where the first responders or essential employees headquarters are listed. Now, I promised everybody a preview of the coaching program at 12:45. So that's what I'm going to do. As we cross over into the 12:45 window, I'm going to tell you that essential employee relocation is all about listings. Essential employee relocation is all about listings. So I'm not going to be able to show you anything on your screen right now because this is the first Mastermind Alliance, and it's the first time I'm really getting into scripts. If you have a pen, it'll help. If you don't have a pen, just text me at the number on your text chat, and Devin and I will get you the essential employee relocation document that I'm referring to right now. Number one, I've worked with people who have written goals and I've worked with people who do not have written goals. I'm 56 years old. I've been coaching realtors for 30 years. I've made $6.5 million coaching realtors. I don't want to coach any more realtors that don't have written goals. So I'm not going to coach people that don't have written goals anymore, because I've learned that people without written goals are wandering generalities and they change direction all the time. But people with written goals and plans to achieve them are proactive, realistic people who I like to be around. So that's the first mastermind rule. I'm not going to have a KETA coaching client for free that doesn't have written goals. So we're going to work together on your written goals. You're going to use our approved scripts and dialogue to represent the network. In other words, if you're going to go through coaching with us, we're going to teach you the words, we're going to teach you the language, and we're going to teach you the objection handling techniques that represent the network best. Now, we cannot require somebody to say certain things, but I'm going to at least teach it. And if you choose to do your own words instead of mine, I wish you luck. If you choose to run a business without written goals or plans to achieve them, I wish you luck. Understand 4 objection handling techniques. I've been doing this for 37 years. There ain't but 4. There's only 4 objections. They're all the same. They sound the same. They come out the same. We answer them the same. It's not hard to figure out. Nominate required ancillary service partners. If you're going to be involved in our coaching program, you're going to have to nominate a title and mortgage company in your geographic territory. That's required. It's not an option. And I want you, this isn't about me. This is about you. You cannot do the job without a mortgage and title partner. If you think you can, you don't know what the job is. The mortgage company is the guy that tells you what the voucher is going to say. HBN assigns the voucher based on what the mortgage banker said. So how could you even do a transaction without a mortgage banker involved? Share, like, and repost HBN videos, memes, and targeting essential employees. I'm going to say that one more time. You must share, like, and repost HBN videos, memes, and targeting essential employees, or you're not able to participate in coaching. So if we're seeing like we're doing 13 social media posts in a week and you don't share, like, or repost any of them, you're kicked out. You're not allowed to be in it anymore. If you did 3 shares one week and all 13 the next week, we wouldn't be mad at you. If you did none one week, we wouldn't be mad at you. If you did none the second week, third week, man, you had the flu for 4 weeks, you little wuss. Could you at least just lean over and share a post while you're sick? No, you can't. Okay, we'll give you 3 weeks off. But if you screw up forever, you're not even willing to share what Devin posts. You don't like a couple of them, don't share them. But 13 out of 13, you didn't like any of them. That's just weird. So yes, we require that you share, like, and repost. We require that you deliver to heroes. You know, we're going to teach you where the HR leaders are. We're going to teach you their address. And shit, there's a little thing called Google. You can find them. And somebody called me up a couple weeks ago and said, tell me how to find heroes. Bing. Google. Yahoo. I don't know. Like, just punch it into your computer. Something's going to come up. ChatGTP. Courier delivery to, hero leaders, HR leaders, employees, employers, captains, chiefs, union presidents, association presidents, different people who are in leadership roles within the first responder and essential employee sector. 2 more requirements of our relationship if you're going to get involved in coaching with me. And I'm not saying you want to, but if you do want to, you're going to have to notify us at first substantive contact with any reload candidate. So you can't go out to the Fort Myers Hospital District, meet the HR director, and get 5 leads from nurses in the first week and not tell us. That would be rude. It would be insensitive. It would be uncaring. It would be just prohibitive to my well-being that you went and did the work for HBN and you didn't even tell us. You got to tell us, because that's how we build the best practices and teach the other realtors across the country and shine a light on what you've done. So notifying HBN of the first substantive contact with a reload candidate is not only online for ease, but it's actually required. So that's another factor that not a lot of our members know. And Carrie and I were just talking about this. Leading a sales force can't be just carrots. Hey, look at all the carrots, Steve. We're going to do all this fun stuff, Steve. Carrots don't motivate people as much as sticks. You got to hit people in the rear end once in a while and tell them, why didn't you even register your reload candidate with HBN? We didn't even have any way to know that this transaction was coming up. And that was required of people because we were finding out about closing 4 hours before closing. We have to jump through all these hoops. I was in Ireland, for God's sakes. We had like 7 closings happen on a Wednesday. I was in Ireland and they were calling us in Ireland to tell us what to do. I mean, why didn't you tell us that there was a closing? So we can do everything a month and a half in advance usually. And then last but not least, title and mortgage vendors have to agree to host realtors for mastermind, for pizza parties, and for certifications. So that is the requirement only on title and mortgage, not on the realtors. I'm going to say the script real quick, and then I'm going to open it up to all the questions. And I'm sure my questions will be a little light because I'm in a certain kind of a mood today. And people know they don't usually ask me a lot of questions when I'm in this mood. But my name is Russ Fitzpatrick. I am the relocation coordinator assigned to Osceola County. I work with all the schools, fire departments, police, sheriffs, and universities in the area. And I'm the only relocation director for Hero Benefits Network here in Orlando. We offer free money to help essential employees with relocation expenses and home ownership. We're a 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization. Our dollars never have to be repaid and do not affect your credit or debt. We curate donations from private sector corporations and pass those donations on to help you with relocation or home purchases. So a lot of our HR directors use our grants as sign-on bonuses for their emerging teachers, firefighters, and police officers who are coming on as rookies. There is no cost to an essential employee. The grants are up to $5,000 on purchase and as much as $10,000 when they move from somewhere else to here. Can we find out how much you qualify for? It only takes a couple minutes. How much money do you get? That's what we want to figure out for you. How much money can you get from this nonprofit to register for free? In order to be compliant, you must have your grant voucher before you make your mortgage application. That is one of my sticks. I always tell my heroes, I can't help you. If you already went and made a mortgage application, I can't help you. If you already went and made a real estate buyer brokerage agreement, I can't help you. If you already went out and did a title deal, I can't help you. Our donations come from mortgage, real estate, and title to augment your purchase towards a relocation grant. So having said all that, I think I probably have you worn out. I think I had a 12:55 window. Look at me. I'm so on time today.
You're on fire, Russ.
I'm really impressing myself, not so much with my dialogue or my verbiage today, but certainly with my my timeliness. I'm going to spend just a moment on the screen because I have 60 seconds before I have to switch gears. Promotional partners are integral to your success. Promotional partners are people like Ace Hardware, or in Franklin, North Carolina, there's a restaurant called Gracious Plates. There might be a law firm that wants to join up, or somebody might want to offer dining discounts to our heroes. So they bring in their Hero Benefits Network card, they automatically get 10% off dinner. They bring in our Hero Benefits Network card to Ace Hardware, they get automatically 10% off their purchase. So above and beyond any other sales or clearance items or anything, they just arbitrarily get another 10% off. So when I go into a PBA or a fraternal or police, I'm not just coming in as a realtor, but in fact, I'm coming in as an area manager for a nonprofit that coordinates and curates donations for first responders and essential employees. There's a million companies that do the same thing. A million. Homes for Heroes is one. You've heard of them. You probably heard of Hero Home Source down in Florida. You probably heard that was a for-profit company that I started 20 years ago. Hero Home Source was not a 501c3 and it didn't curate donations. All it did is trade rebates back and forth. Now we can build perks around dining, travel, movies, free tickets. Do you know how many free concert tickets are available for first responders and essential employees, but the employees don't even know about it? You go see Taylor Swift for free if you're a cop. I know that to be true because they allocate a certain number of tickets to give away. And all of these big concerts that travel, music festivals, they always do something nice. Disney does something nice for essential employees. So you could have a one-stop shop operating in 90 days that has a bustling business, that has a pay it forward culture, and you're the leader of it. And why I like that for Steve as an example is that, let's say I'm 56, but my son's 29. Or let's say I'm 56 and beautiful Devin wants to follow in my footsteps as a realtor. I could turn my community over to her. So I could act as a mentor to her. She could act as my apprentice. We could go on the meetings together as a team for the first couple months that she's with me. And then I could turn over that zip code to her for an ROI. You're in real estate, ROI, return on investment. So I could say, I built this up over a couple of years, turn it over to Devin. Devin's going to agree to pay me a piece of the puzzle. Every deal for the first year, a little less second year, a little less third year, and then in perpetuity, she's going to pay me a little less because I was built it up for her. But now I have a residual stream of income from a work that I did back in 2025 that I turned over to my son to do in 2026, and it's still bringing in more rewards. If I'm a broker owner like Terry and Tim Keeler, for an example, I might do that with my realtors. I might go out and help my realtor build up an area, turn over the zip code to them, help them build up another one, turn over the zip code to them, help them build up another. Like that would be a really prudent way to kind of go about building a real estate brokerage in my heart, is to really work with my agents to establish zip codes that have value for the Hero Benefits Network. Remember how we identify value for the network? Is there a headquarters of an essential employee in that zip code? Because if you just arbitrarily throw a dart at the zip code map and you buy 33068 and there's no headquarters there, who are you visiting? Like, it's like an entrepreneurial seizure. You just bought a zip code for no reason. You got to buy a zip code that has heroes in it. and I'll talk one last time here in the last 2 minutes as it relates to KETA coaching. KETA is kicking the ass. KITA, kicking the ass coaching. I've lost my Zig Ziglar positivity. I'm just here to let you know that this is real money. Your family's holiday season will be better if you do this work. Your family vacation next summer will be better if you do this work. The car you drive after this one will be better because you do this work. The money that you make will be better because you do this work. Having said that, what we look for is call to action, kick in the ass call to action. In other words, what did you do with flyers on Wednesday? What did you do with newsletters on the fourth Wednesday of the month? What did you do with dropping off vouchers the third Wednesday of the month? And what did you do with volunteering at the PTA on the second Wednesday of every month? So you have these staples that start to show up in your world where you're delivering flyers to the Police Benevolent Association to go out in their pony system. You're delivering vouchers to the American Legion to go out via email, or giving them emails that they can send out to their members, inviting them to a free happy hour that's happening on the third Wednesday. You know, these are things that you're doing that we're going to give you granular direction and granular coaching on. I'm going to end our session on this screen right here, because that is what's called a domestic migration map, and it's color-coded by county. So when you look at Southern California on the far left of your screen, and you see all that red ink, that orange ink is where people are leaving. And the blue ink is where people are moving to. So what you're finding is a lot of northern Washington State, Oregon, Portland, Los Angeles, San Diego, they're moving because it's impossible to buy a house there anymore. In downtown, what is that? Right around Houston, Dallas, look at that, splitting out and hauling butt. When you're talking about orange ink in the center of the state, you're talking about Denver got too expensive, so they moved up above Boulder. You've got all these sections of blue where people are moving to. So whether you're a listing agent working in the orange sections, or if you're a buyer's agent working in the blue sections, you want to buy your zip code or county situated around the headquarters of the heroes. And then that zip code protects that Police Benevolent Association branch from being attacked by another HBN director. We govern that, we police that, and we kick people out of our network if they break the rule. We would never let them close a transaction in network in your zip code. I'm sorry, they can close one in your zip code, they just can't promote themselves in your zip code. So maybe they met somebody outside of your zip code and they end up buying a house in your zip code. That's okay. That's kind of like McDonald's, right? You can buy a hamburger and eat it somewhere else, but you can't promote yourself in that zip code. And that's why it's so important that you find those headquarters. So it is 1:01. I'm only 60 seconds over on October 30th, 2024. I think we've got 2 months left in 2024. I'm loving the idea of kissing this year goodbye. I really am. And I'm really loving the idea that no matter who's our president, the Fed is already considering dropping the interest rates back down into the 5s and 6s. So we're probably going to have a lot of fun in 2025. We're probably going to be high-fiving at the bank, depositing checks again. But if you're not doing that right now, consider getting to know us better. I'm going to invite you to come to Key to Coaching every Wednesday at 10 a.m. from now on. Key to Coaching is going to be at 10. Certifications are still going to be available 24/7 online. And Devin and I will decide how we're going to get more and more people certified. But I had to separate the coaching from the certifications, because a new guy like Steve comes in, he's hit square in the head with me, and he's like, I don't know if I want any part of this place. But if he gets certified first and then comes to a coaching, he might appreciate it better. So we're looking for 40,000 HBN certified real estate agents, about 1,000 exclusive relocation partners across the country. We're looking for about 100 mortgage and title companies to help us manage this. And that's my story. I'm sticking to it. Devin, I'll say goodbye right now. I will shut up.